I always believed that understanding is deeper than knowing. There are many people who know, but very few who understand. As a very simple example, I can say that we all know that we are here, but do we understand why? The same thing happens with software requirement, and in the case of software requirements, I can say that most often than not, many people know, but many people do not understand. And to make sure that they understand, we came up with lots of things. Lots and lots of things, and believe me, we can do PhD on those topics. And just like all other software developers, I was also part of that. I was using the same things to understand software requirements. And over a period of time, I got frustrated just like everyone else. I was thinking why there is not a simpler way of doing the same thing. There could be, right? And something that came out of my own frustration about software development, understanding the requirement and knowing the requirement, that is called Cockpit View Metaphor Technique. It's a very simple and intuitive technique, and this is what I'm going to talk about. And I'm going to talk about in context of the Medium blog which I have written, which you can refer. I'll give you the link in the description. So, before going ahead, I know what you might be thinking. I already have Epic, themes, user stories, blah blah blah, Jira, and other things to manage software requirements. And look at this idiot. He has come up with something new. Well, you have all the rights to be angry, and believe me, if somebody said to me like this, I'd be angry too. Okay. So, in the name of agile software development, we have came up with so many things. As I talked about that, we can do PhD in that. But if it works for you, it works for you. Please don't waste your time here. But as a software developer, if you ever feel that, the current process of representing the software requirement, making sure people understand those software requirements is taking much more effort and learning than the software requirement itself, this may be for you. Okay. Now, when I talk about there are tons of materials that are available, I am not saying that they are bad, they are useless, they are incorrect. No, they are good, they are not useless, they are useful. And there is some application of all those things. But my concern is that the time and effort I am giving in creating those things, they are not giving me money. What gives me revenue is my actual software. If I do, some PhD thesis on user story splitting, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's a good thing. You should know about it. But if you do a PhD and you can break the user stories of your organization in the best possible way, but it doesn't create the product. It tries to make sure that people understand, but it doesn't create the product, and we will not get money out of it. So if time is the scarce resource, which I have talked about in this particular blog, like, reducing waste. When we talk about lean software development, we talk about reducing waste. And if time is the scarce resource, there should be a valid justification of using that much time in depicting something and making sure people understand that. And believe me, if you go from simple things to complex things, there will be lots of people who will not be able to understand it. Okay, no matter how hard we try. Now, there is a argument like we need to understand things before doing it. All developers come with this particular statement saying that we need to understand. How can we implement? We need to understand before implementing. Well, I don't have anything against that argument, but I want to say that if there is a simple way to make you understand, would you like to use that way? And that particular way is what I call it as, what I named it as Cockpit View Metaphor Technique. Now, as the name suggests, the Cockpit View Metaphor Technique is all about how we see the landscape from an airplane at different levels. How the things looks like from 35,000 feet, how the things looks like from 10,000 feet, how the things looks like from 1,000 feet. So, whenever we are ascending or descending, we go through all these levels. We cannot go to 10,000 feet without crossing 1,000 feet. And we cannot come down to 1,000 feet without, descending first to 10,000 feet. Okay. And that is the idea behind this particular technique. This is a simple and intuitive technique, and there are no rules. Yes, you heard it right. There are no rules. No rules are there. You can depict as you want. At the 35K feet, if you see something down and it looks to you as some land, that is a land. If it looks to you as sea, that's a sea, right? This is what you perceive your output will be. Okay, and this is where things are extremely clear, extremely simple, saying that this is what I see. Okay, and once we come down to 10,000 feet to 1,000 feet, we will realize whether it's a sea or a land. Okay, so it's intuition based, it's your own intuition based technique. It doesn't require any rule like you have to do this, you have to do that. So it's a hierarchical technique with three levels: 35,000 feet, 10,000 feet, 1,000 feet. Now, the only constraint is that there are only three levels: 35K, 10K, and 1K. When people started using it, they say that I need some 15K, I need some 25K, I need some 50K, I need some, 500 fit K or something like that. No, don't get into that trap. That's the only constraint. You can depict any requirements with only these three levels: what it looks like at 35K, what it looks like at 10K, and what it looks like at 1K. Okay, so what is the 35K? 35K is your desired look, the final outcome that you are going to create out of whatever work you are doing. Okay, but it is possible that your 35K is based on what you are working on. If you are not working on complete product, then the module which you are delivering and that is your final product will be your 35K. For example, if you are looking at Earth and if you want to divide the Earth from 35K perspective, you will divide Earth into different continents. But if you are looking at solar system, you will divide 35K as different planets. Okay, so it's all about what is your area where you are working and what is your final product from your perspective. For your product, the 35K could be different. For you, it could be different. It is also possible that your 35K is derived from overall 10K of the product, but this is the final outcome you are creating. That's why this is the final view what you are seeing, right? Now let's come to 10K. 10K is the independent building blocks which will contribute to the 35K. For example, if you look at Earth, if continents are 35K, then rivers, lands, deserts are 10K, right? For example, let's assume we are creating a microservice. If my microservice is 35K or output of that microservice is 35K, then 10K could be my database, 10K could be my NTP server or something like that. So it is about views. So if you open that microservice, just like you are opening a book, right? What are the different chapters? These different chapters are 10K. So if you open the book, if you can see, okay, database is a chapter, NTP server is a chapter, in memory is a chapter, cache is a chapter, something like that. Those things could be your 10K. Now, the interesting thing is that you will never work on 35K or 10K. You will always work on 1Ks. And those 1Ks will create 10Ks and those 10Ks will create 35K. Please don't get confused. In one go, you cannot create continents. In one go, you cannot create deserts, rivers, lands, etc. It's all the small 1K entities which contributes to create rivers, lands, deserts, etc. Okay, the same thing happens in your software requirement. You are not implementing 10K. You will always and ever be implementing only 1K. Your 35K and 10K will contribute to your software architecture and design. But when you start implementing, you'll start implementing 1Ks, and that 1K will help you to build 10K. Okay. Now, one thing I want to make it very clear: Cockpit View Metaphor Technique is all about what, not how. Okay. How means I am using, let's say, MySQL database or, some other database, Redis or Apache Cassandra, for example. No, it's not about how you are doing that. It's what is the output of that. For example, if you want to store data, the 10K is your storage, right? How you are implementing that storage, it's none of the business of what it looks like. Okay, it's not about how. So from this perspective, from the view perspective, you are seeing just what is the output. You're not considering how it should be created. That is the job of your software architecture and design. This is the what part. So I always felt that many people, when they are doing their software development work in day-to-day life, they are not aware about big picture, and they are not aware about what will be final outcome for whatever I am doing. The idea behind this 35k, 10k, 1k is that each and everyone doing work in any 1k, 1k you can divide into multiple tasks. Anyone is doing work on any task, they know that where it is going to impact, and that will help them to take a better decision, a informed decision, right? They will not create something in their own den, right? They will think about other things also. So it's all about understanding the big picture. Okay, now there is one very big byproduct of this cockpit view metaphor technique, and that is testing and quality. So most often than not, I believe software developers will agree with me that they end up testing with unit testing and as well as integration testing and even with the smoke testing about how part. Their concentration is how, more of a how than what. Now this particular technique is turning everything upside down. It talks about what. For example, if you want to test a 10k, let's assume that data storage. You test data storage. Don't create test cases based on the type of database you have chosen. Like, for example, if MySQL support that, create this test case. No, nothing like that. Your intention was not to get into a specific functionality of a database, right? Your intention was of what, right? If you keep on testing what you are getting out of that data store, what is the thing you expected out of that, then even tomorrow if you change the database to something else, it will be easy for you to test it, because while testing you haven't considered the specific functionalities of how things are happening. You know what is happening and you are testing that. What is what I expected. This seems poetic, but this is what it is, okay? So the idea is that the 1k part has to be tested by software developers who are creating those 1k. 10k part has to be part of your integration testing, your complete integration and regression testing. 10k part should be part of your complete integration and regression testing. 35k is where you can do your smoke testing, okay? So it is being generally said that simplicity is complicated, but in this particular case, simplicity is not complicated. It's based on your intuition, your team's intuition, and your stakeholders' intuition. What you see from 35k, what you see from 10k, what you see from 1k. So I do hope and believe that I was able to explain this 35k, 10k, 1k cockpit view metaphor technique in the easiest possible way. You can look into this particular Medium article also. The link is in description section. And I do hope and believe that this technique will help you in making sure that people understand. Okay. So that's all I had for today's video. Thank you all. Thanks for watching. We will meet again. Until the next time we meet, good day, goodbye. You take care.